व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Text number 31. Na Uddhavaha anu api matnyuno nodhavo anu api manyuno yat gunaihi na arditaha prabhu yad gunay na arditah prabhu ataha mat vyayunam lokam ato madvayunam lokam garhayan iha tishtatu garhayan iha tishtatu nodhavo anu api manyono madgunair nardita prabhu ato madvyunam lokam garhayan iha tishtatu nodhavo anu api manyono yadgune nardita prabhu ato madvyayunam lokam garhayan iha tishtatu. Not Uddhavaha Uddhava anu slightly api also mat to myself nyunaha inferior yat because gunai by the modes of material nature na not arditaha affected prabhu master ataha therefore matvyunam just to disseminate iha in this world tishtatu may remain. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Please repeat the translation. Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, he may remain in this world in order to disseminate specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The specific qualification for becoming the representative of the Lord is to be unaffected by the material modes of nature. The highest qualification of the person in the material world is to be a Brahmana. But since a Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, to be a Brahmana is not sufficient for becoming a representative of material nature. This stage of transcendental qualification is called as Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva, and in this stage the signs of God can be realized. As the Lord is not affected by the modes of material nature, so a pure devotee of the Lord is also not affected by the modes of nature. That is the primary qualification for being one with the Lord. A person who is able to attain this transcendental qualification is called Jivan Muktaha or liberated, even though he is apparently in material conditions. This liberation is achieved by one who constantly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it is stated, Ihayasya Hare Dashe Karmana Manasagira Niklasu api avastasu Jivan Mukta Sauchyate. Anyone who, by his actions, mind, and words, lives only for the transcendental loving service of the Lord is certainly a liberated soul, even though he may appear to be in a condition of material existence. Uddhava was in such a transcendental position, and thus he was selected to be the factual representative of the Lord in his bodily absence from the vision of the world. Such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by the material strength, intelligence, or even renunciation. Such a devotee of the Lord can withstand all onslaughts of material nature, and therefore he is known as Goswami. Only such Goswamis can penetrate the mysteries of the Lord's transcendental loving relationships. Doesn't say Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the position of Uddhava is reiterated by the Lord himself. No Uddhavo anuapi man nyuno. He is saying, in no way Uddhava was inferior to me, because yadgunair na ardita prabhu. He is never under the three modes of material nature. He is beyond the three modes of material nature. Ato mad vayunam lokam. So, when the Lord, knowledge about the Lord, which is to be disseminated in this world, garhayan ihatishtatu, he will be able to communicate to everyone, and he will be able to remain in this world as the representative of the Lord and pass on that knowledge to others. So, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, the specific qualification for becoming the representative of the Lord is to be unaffected by the modes of material nature. That is the situation called as Sthita Prajna, one who is beyond the material modes. As the Lord is not affected by the modes of material nature, so a pure devotee of the Lord is also not affected by the modes of material nature. This is the primary qualification for being one with the Lord. The whole aspect is how one should rise above these modes and come to the platform of not being affected by the three modes of material nature. That is the basic qualification. Uddhava was in such a transcendental position, and thus he was selected to be the factual representative of the Lord in his bodily absence from the vision of the world. So, and this stage is alternatively known as Jivan Muktaha. Even though he was there in this material bodily conditions, he is in a liberated condition. He is unaffected by the modes of material nature. Either dualities or situations or conditions, he is not carried away by any of these impacts on him. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he himself is above the three modes, and if you surrender unto him, one will also come to that stage. In 7th chapter, 13th and 14th sloka, Krishna says about this position. Tribir gunamair bhaver ebi sarvam idam jagat. Mohitam nabijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Tribir gunamair bhaver. This gunamayi is of three categories, three modes of material nature. Ebi sarvam idam jagat, and it is spread entire the universe. Not in specific parts it is there. It is there across the universe. Ebi sarvam idam jagat. Mohitam na abhijanati. People who are under these modes are under illusion. Na abhijanati. They do not know about the Lord. Mamebhya paramavyayam. I am actually above the modes, inexhaustible and not bound by three modes. So why Jiva is not able to understand about the Lord? Because he is entrapped, illusioned by the three modes of material nature. Now, if I have to come outside of the three modes of material nature, what is the solution? Krishna says, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. The material nature is very difficult to cross over. Mama Maya, it is my Maya, Krishna is saying. Duratyaya means it is impossible. But mamyevaye prapadyante, if you surrender unto me, mayam etam tarantite. You will be able to cross over this maya. So the practical example for us is by surrendering to Krishna through spiritual master, one will be able to cross over this cycle of birth and death. Because these pure devotees who are coming in the parampara system are that sthita prajnasya. They are that people who have attained to that stage, Brahma Nirvana. Their various words are, terminology of various words are used across Bhagavad Gita. The whole point is we should rise above the three modes. Because the entire Vedic literature is talking about how to become entangled in these three modes. Most of the Vedic knowledge, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, is trying to entrap. That's why in second chapter also, if you see, Krishna is saying 2.45. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarshuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshemam Atmavan. So it is saying the Vedas mainly deal with the subjects of three modes of material nature. So one should rise above the material modes. That is through the Vedic perceptions. So Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them. Rise above the modes. Then Nirdvandaha, free from duality. Nitya Sattvastaha, being established in the self. Niryoga Kshemam, free from all anxieties to gain and safety. Atmavan, be situated in that position. So in that way, you will be able to rise above these three modes. If you think, I am this body, the first thing is we are entrapped here. And this world is also called as relative world. What we see, what we understand is always not exactly what we are trying to do. So, if you ask a person, how do you explain in a simple word, simple terminology, what is this relative world? I and mine, difficult to relate. Because everybody is thinking like that only. How do you feel something different? Okay. So, one devotee was asked, what is relative world? He said, sitting in Bhagavatam class for 1 minute feels like 1 hour. And sitting in front of social media, just for 1 minute, I will just enter social media and come out. 1 hour will be like 1 minute there. Like most of the times, before going to bed, we see, 1 minute, let me see what is there in today's update in the news. Either WhatsApp or whatever we open, and it will be 1 hour by the time you realize. You think it's only 1 minute. So this is called as relative world. So what is important, it becomes longer, and what is unwanted, it is like you have not spent too much time. It's just 1 minute you think. Or you are thinking, let me read books. If you read for 10 minutes, you felt I have read for 1 hour. And somebody is doing gossiping there, I'll just go 2 minutes, just give my ear and come back. It will be 2 hours there. So this is what is relative perception. Now how do we understand, how do we know where to cut, how to cut? That is where that you should be able to practically be that nirdvandaha, nitya sattvasaha, all these qualities we have to imbibe. So Krishna says in Bhagavatam, this is in the first canto itself, Shota Goswami and Shota Goswami is answering the questions while he says, Bejire muniyo atagre bhagavantam adokshajam sattvam vishuddham kshemaya kalpante yenu taniha. So, my dear Munayaha, great sages, agre, previously. So, Bejire means by engaging in devotional service, to whom? Bhagavantam adokshajam, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the material modes. Adokshajam is defined as one who cannot be fallen in this world. Akshaja, adaha akshaja, one who falls in this world. So, Lord is beyond this material modes. Because by engaging in sattvam vishuddham kshemaya. So, vishuddha sattva, when you engage in pure devotional service to the platform of pure goodness, kshemaya, for our welfare, ultimate benefit. So, ye anutan, so one who follows the authorities, all the great sages in the past, kalpante iha, becomes eligible for going back home, back to Godhead after finishing this material body or material world, or from this liberation he gets liberated. The simple, by engaging in the service of the devotees who have become liberated from this material world, one can follow the path. The same thing what we saw is again reinstated in Bhagavatam there. Similarly, further, Lord explains this to Uddhava in Uddhava Gita itself. Eta shamshuttaya pumso gunakarma nibandanaha eneme nirjita saumya gunajivena chittajaha bhakti yogena mannisto madbhavaya prapadyate. He is saying, oh my dear Saumya, oh most gentle Uddhava, eta samshrutya, all these different phases of conditioned life, gunakarma nibandanaha, arise from work born of three modes of material nature. Whatever we see, the various situations, they are all because of interaction of three modes of material nature. Any situation. So, pumsah yena ime nirjita gunaha, the living entity who wants to conquer these three modes of material nature, how he can conquer? Jivena chittajaha, which is manifested from the mind. The three modes are manifested in the mind and it becomes executed in the actions. Bhakti yogena mannistaha, can dedicate himself in devotional service completely. Mannistaha, with full faith, surrender unto me. Bhakti yogena. And madbhavaya prapadyate, when you surrender in that mode, you come to the stage of love of Godhead. So practical thing is surrender to the Lord. That is the only opportunity how one can come out of three modes of material nature. And whatever we see, everything is perceptions in the mind first. We perceive in the mind, then we see in the actions. So we have to be very careful when you are interacting with the mind, because three modes have already attacked the mind. And he continues, Tasma deham imam labdva jnana vijnana sambhavam gunasangam vinirdyuya mam bhajantu vichakshanaha. So, tasma deham imam labdva, for those who have achieved this human form of life, jnana vijnana sambhavam, and which is possible by which allows one to develop full knowledge. Only in this human form can one understand what is theory and what is practical. And combination of these two is the knowledge personification of the Lord. You should require jnana vijnana combination. Then vichakshanaha, those who are intelligent, who are able to discriminate. Gunasangam vinirdyuta, one should become free from these three modes of material nature, the association of these three modes of material nature. And mam bhajantu, one should engage exclusively in loving service of the Lord. And this is the only way. He is reiterating the point, how he can come out of the three modes of material nature. So, the whole perspective is how we can also become sincere and serious. But whom do we follow is the example. So, there was a school in which a teacher is explaining a subject, and suddenly sometimes we see some outside people will come to do some survey, or not survey, what do you say, the DUO will come. Inspection, they come and they would like to question and whether the teacher is communicating properly, whether students are able to understand what he is communicating. The teacher may say nicely, but what is the perception of the student? So he came to a small children class and he had asked, what is pizza? The children answered, sir, it is Indian roti which went for education to abroad and became sophisticated and came back in a different way. So this is his understanding. Then, next question. What are lizards? Lizards. Sir, they are actually crocodiles only, sir, because in their childhood, their mother, because of being poverty, could not feed him Horlicks. That's why they remained so small. So, see, you may try to explain them properly, but what is his perception? What is his understanding? So, sometimes we have to be very careful. Am I communicating to them the way they are able to understand? or is this the point? Has he understood in the way it has to be understood? So spirituality means we have to be very careful, because what happens, everybody will take what they want from them. They will not take what the speaker is communicating. They want to take what they want only. So now it is a duty of the teacher to see that everybody are on the same platform, or else it will be a confusion. So in one perspective, there is one nice story in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is elaborated in Chaitanya Bhagavata. It's only in one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Chaitanya Bhagavata, it is 2 chapters. The first interaction of Lord Chaitanya with Nityananda Prabhu. So it says, Nirantara Nityananda smare Vishwambara. Lord Chaitanya was constantly thinking of Nityananda Prabhu. Janilena Nityananda Ananta Ishvara. So Nityananda Prabhu could understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking of him. Nirantara Sankirtana Parama Ananda Dukkapaya Prabhu Nadekiya Nityananda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always engaged in Sankirtana, but feeling separation from Nityananda, he is not able to enjoy it nicely. Nityananda Janilena Prabhura Prakasha Ye Avadi Lage Kare Vrindavana Vasa. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, there is an age difference of 12 years. So Nityananda Prabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took birth, he left, by the time he was 12 years, and he left, Ekachakra, and he was roaming around. Till Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not manifested his preaching pastimes. By the time he went to Gaya, came back, only then he started his Kirtana and preaching pastimes. So till then he was roaming around and he was staying in Vrindavana. So as soon as Nityananda Prabhu got to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started preaching Sankirtana movement, he started moving from Vrindavana and he came to Ekachakra. Nandanacharya Maha Bhagavatottama Jai Shri Radha Govindaki. Janiya Aila Jata Navadvipa Pure Asiya Rahila Nandanacharya Gare. So understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood, he immediately came from Vrindavan and stayed in the house of Nandanacharya. Nandanacharya Maha Bhagavatottama. Who is this Nandanacharya? He is a great devotee of the Lord. Bhagavatottama. Deki Maha Tejo Rashi Yenya Surya Sama. He saw Nityananda Prabhu, he was like a equal to sun, Surya Samaha. Tejo Rashi. His bodily effulgence was very strong. Maha Avaduta Vesha Prakanda Sharira. The description of Nityananda Prabhu's body. Maha Avaduta Vesha. He is like a renunciant, Avaduta. But Prakanda Sharira, he is a huge, hefty personality. Niravadi Gabirata Deki Mahadira. He was very grave, Gabira, Mahadira, and most sober. Aharnisha Vadane Bolaya Krishna Nama. Every moment he was chanting the holy name of the Lord. Aharnisha. Tribhavane Advitiya Chaitanyera Dama. And he is the abode of Lord Chaitanya, incomparable in 3 words. Nijanande Kshane Kshane Karaya Hunkara. In his ecstasy, he was chanting loudly, Hunkara, making sounds. Mahamattayena Balarama Avatara. He is always intoxicated and like incarnation of Balarama. Koti Chandra Jiniya Vadana Manohara. His beauty is like 1,000 crores of moons. You will not be able to match with him. Vadana Manohara, his enchanting smile. Jagata Jivana Hasya Sundar Adara. And he is the life and soul of the universe. Mukata Jiniya Sri Darshane Jyoti Hayata Aruna Duilochana Shubhati. His teeth defeated the pearls. His broad reddish eyes increased the beauty of his face. Ajanu Lambita Bhuja Supivara Vaksha. His hands were so long, Ajanu Lambita. It came up to knees. So almost he was able to stand. It comes up to knees. Supivara Vakshaha, and his chest was broad. Chalita Komala Bada Padayuga Daksha. His lotus feet were like 2 soft lotuses walking. Very smooth. Parama Krupaya Kare Sabara Sambasha. With very compassion he used to talk to everyone. Sunila Srimukha Vakya Karma Bandhanasha. Just by hearing the words of Nityananda Prabhu, people become liberated. Their fruitive activities are destroyed. Navadvipe Nityananda Chandra Agama. It is like Lord Nityananda is like a moon who had entered into the Navadvipa Dhama. Ihaye Sune Taramile Premadana. Whoever hears his pastime will get love of Godhead. Nityananda Agamana Jani Vishwambara. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that Nityananda Prabhu had come. Ananta Harisha Prabhu Haila Antara. He became very happy within. Purve Vyapadesha Sarva Vaishnavera Sthane. In some context, few days before, in the association of all the devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying, Vanijya Achena Keha Marmanahi Jane. That he gave some hint that a great personality is going to come. Arabai Dina Dui Tinera Bhitare Kona Mahapurusha Eka Asibe Ekare. Said within 2-3 days, some Mahapurusha is going to enter into our place. Daive Saidina Vishnu Puja Gaura Chandra. So after worshipping Lord Vishnu, Satvara Milila Yaha Vaishnavera Vrunda. So on that same day, everybody came and met. After 2-3 days, everybody came and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after their worshipping the Lord. Sabhakarasthane Prabhu Kahena Apane. He started saying to all the other devotees, Aji Ami Apurupa Dekilun Swaple. I had one wonderful dream. Tala Dvaja Ekarada Samsarera Sara. So there was one chariot with the, with the flag of palm tree. Samsarera Sara and Asiya Rahila Rata Amara Duyara. So who is expert in bestowing the essence of life on all people came to the doorstep of my house. Tara Majya Deki Eka Prakanda Sharira. When I saw him, he is a huge personality. Maha Eka Stambaskanda Gati Nahe Stira. He held on his shoulder, on the post of his shoulder, and his movements are unsteady. Vetra Banda Eka Kamandalu Vamahate Neela Vastra Paridhana Nija Neela Vastra Mate. In his hand, he was having one water pot wrapped in cane. Then he was dressed in blue garments, and his head was decorated with a blue cloth. Vamashruti Mule Eka Kundala Vichitra. So he was having only one earring, because the second earring was placed on that snake. In the last story we have described that snake in Eka Chakra. So the snake should not come outside. So he had placed one earring there. Haladara Bhave Hena Bhuji Ye Charitra. I could understand he is not different from Lord Balarama. Ei Bhadi Nimani Panditera Hoya Hoya. Is it the house of Nimai Pandit? He was asking me. Dashabara Vishabara Ekata Kaya. 10 times, 20 times he is asking, is it the house of Nimai Pandit? Is it the house of Nimai Pandit? Maha Avaduta Vesha Parama Prachanda Arakabu Nahi Deki Emane Uddanda. So he is saying he was dressed like an Avaduta, but appeared like most powerful. I have never seen such a personality. Dekiya Sambrama Bada Pailama Ami. By seeing him, I became very astonished and happy. Jignashilami Kon Mahajana Tumi. I'm curious. I wanted to understand, who are you, my dear sir? Hasiya Amare Bole, Ei Bhai Hoya. Laughingly he said, I am your elder brother. Tomaya Amaya Kali Hoiba Parichaya. Tomorrow morning, both of us will be meeting. Harisha Badila Suni, Tahara Vachana, Apanare Vashon Muni, Yena Sei Sama. Then I became most pleased, Harishaha, by hearing his words, Tahara Vachana. So then, Apanare Vashon Muni, Yena Sei Sama. I am thinking he is non-different from me. Both of us are equivalent. Kahite Prabhu Bhashya Sabe Gela Dura. Then in this way, he became ecstatic. Haladar Bhave Prabhu Garjaya Prachura. He came into the mood of Lord Balarama and he started making sounds. Mada Anna Boli Prabhu Dake. Hunkara Sunite Yena Dui Karna Fate. He said in such a loud voice that people's eardrums were like about to break. Then he said, bring me wine, bring me wine. Srivasa Pandita Bole, Sunah Goshani. Oh, my dear Goswami, please hear. Ye Madira Chahi Tumi, say Tumaratani. What you are asking is with you only. Tumi Yare Vailo, Seita Taha Paya. So only whom you have given, they can have it. Kampita Bhaktagana Dure Rahi Chaya. Because of his the mood, everybody were a little far off. They are from far, they are observing the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chala Haridasa, Chala Shivas Pandit. Both of you go. Chaha Giya Deki, Ki Ashi Kon Bite. Go and see who has come to this place, that new personality. Dui Mahabhagavata Prabhura Adeshe, Sarva Navadvipa Chahi, Bulaya Harisha. They were roaming around entire Navadvipa, thinking that some great personality we have to go and search. Chahite kata kahe dui jana, e buchi aila kiba Prabhu Sankarshana. So they were wondering whether Lord Sankarshana had come or what. Anande Vishwala Dune, Chahiya Vedaya, Tilardake Uddesha, Kota O Nahi Paya. So overwhelmed ecstasy, the two started looking everywhere, but they could not get any attention. Sakala Nadiya, Tina Prahara Chahiya Aila. For 9 hours they roamed entire Navadvipa. Prabhu Stane Kaho Na Dekhiya. They came back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, we could not find anywhere. Nivedila Ashi Donhe Prabhura Charane. They came back and explained to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Upadika Kota Na Nahila Darshane. So everywhere we went, but we could not find. Ki Vaishnava, Ki Sanyashi, Kri Guhastha Shala. We went to Vaishnava's places, we went to Sanyasi's places, we went to Grahastha's places. Pashandera Gara Adi, even we went to atheist place. Dekilun Shakala, we saw everywhere. Chahilama sa Sarva Navadvipa Yaranama. So we looked over entire Navadvipa. Sabe na Chahilun Prabhu, but we did not go outside of Navadvipa. Giya Anya Grama. Okay. Donhara Vachana Suni Hase Gaurachandra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughed. Chale Bujhaila Bada Guda Nityananda. Then they started, come follow with me. Let us find out where is Nityananda. Bada Guda Nityananda Ye Avatara Chaitanya Jeka Yare Se Dekita Para. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is already confidential, but Nityananda Prabhu is most confidential. Unless Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals, you will not be able to get the association of Nityananda Prabhu. Means, unless Lord reveals, you will not get the association of pure devotee, spiritual master. Because Nityananda Prabhu is representative of Guru Parampara. So if you have to get a proper Guru, you should have mercy of Krishna first. Sarvata Shrivasa Adi Tandra Tattva Jane Na Haila Deka Kona Kautuka Karane. Even though Srivasa could understand the position of Nityananda Prabhu, for some reason he could not identify Nityananda Prabhu. Kshaneka Thakura Bole Ishad Hasiya Aisha Amar Sanke Sabe Deke Giya. So then he said, everyone come with me, see him with me. Ullase Prabhu Sange Sarva Bhaktagana, in joyful mood, all the devotees started following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Krishna Boli Sabi Karila Gamana. So chanting the holy name of the Lord, they all followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sabelana Prabhu Nandanacharya Gare, taking everyone, he reached the house of Nandanacharya. Janiya Uttila Giya Ashri Gaurasundara. Vasiyachena Eka Mahapurusha Ratna. Outside the house there was one Mahapurusha. He is like a jewel of Mahapurusha. Sabi Dekalena Yeni Koti Surya Sama. He was like crores of moon in one personality. That effulgence. Alakshita Avesha Bujhana Naiyaya. So nobody could understand the internal mood. Dhyana Shuke Paripurna Hasaya Sadaya. He was in constant meditation and he was constantly laughing. Maha Bhakti Yoga Prabhu Bujhiya Tanhara. Everybody could understand. He is a great devotee. Ganasaha Vishwambara Hoila Namaskara. So everybody paid obeisances to him. Sambrame Rahila Sarvagana Dandaye Keha Kichuna Bolena Rahila Chahiya. So everyone stood there watching him, and with reference they did not speak any word. Sammuke Rahila Mahaprabhu Vishwambara. So Vishwambara was standing in front of Mahaprabhu. Chini Lena Nityananda Prane Rishwara. So Nityananda Prabhu could understand, oh Lord of my life is standing before me. Vishwambara Murti Yena Madana Samana. He was like Cupid, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. Divya Gandha Malya Divya Vasa Paridana. His body is decorated with sandalwood paste and beautiful cloths, and he was like beautifully personified standing in front of Nityananda Prabhu. Harisha Stambita Hoila Nityananda Raya. By seeing the beauty of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu became ecstatic and he almost stunned. Eka Drushti Haya Vishwambara Rupa Chaya. He started with one pointed attention looking at the beauty of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. ರಸನಾಯ ಲಿಹೇಯನ ದರ್ಶನಪಾನ ಭುಜೇಯನ ಆಲಿಂಗನ ನಾಸಿಕಾಯ ಗ್ರಾನ. So, he appeared to be licking that beautiful form with his tongue, drinking it with his eyes, embracing with his arms, smelling with it with his nose. Ei mata Nityananda hoya stambita, na bole na kare kichu sabai vishmita. Everybody was very astonished seeing the ecstatic mood of Nityananda Prabhu. Bujilena sarva prananata gauraraya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand. Nityananda Janaite Shrujila Upaya. He wanted to reveal the identity of Nityananda Prabhu. So he made one idea. Ingite Srivasa Prati Bolilena Thakura. So he gave one indication to Srivasa. Bhagavate Reka Shloka Pata Karibare. To identify what is the position of Nityananda Prabhu, he said recite one shloka from Bhagavatam. Prabhu Ingita Buji Srivasa Pandita Krishna Dhyana Eka Shloka Padila Tarvarita. So immediately he recited one shloka which will talk about Lord Krishna's glories. Barha Pidam Natavara Vapu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibradvashah Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayanti Chamalam Randran Venur Adra Sudaya Puryam Gopa Vrinder Vrindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirtihi. This is the shloka glorifying Gita. The gopis were glorifying the beauty of Lord Krishna when he is coming back after grazing the cows. Barha Pidam, there was one peacock feather on his head. Natavara Vapuhu, he is like the expert dancer. Karnayo Karnikaram, there were beautiful flowers from his ears. Bibrad Vashaha, his bodily, the dress. Kanaka Kapisham, he is like golden saffron, yellow color. Vaijayanti Chamalam, he is having one garland of Vaijayanti. Radaran Venur, into the holes. Appas, the cowhead boys are enjoying that music which is coming, which is like nectar coming out of that flute. Vrindaranyam, he was roaming around Vrindavana. Swapada Ramanam, by his lotus feet, and he was enhancing the glory of Vrindavana. Pravishat Gita Kirtihi, after finishing his work in the forest, he entered into Vrindavana. Gita Kirtihi, the boys are singing his glories. Suni Matra Nityananda Shloka Ucharana, just by hearing the shloka. Padila Murshita Hanana Nahika Chetana. He became unconscious as soon as he heard the shloka. Anande Murshita Hoila Nityananda Raya Pada Pada Srivasera Gauranga Shikaya. So the ecstasy was increasing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, sing more, sing more. Shloka Kshuni Kshatakshana Haila Chetana. After hearing the shloka, he became to and started crying. Punah Punah Shloka Suni Bhadaye Unmada. He was becoming more and more intoxicated. Brahmanda Bhedaya Hena Suni Simhanada. He started roaring so loudly that the sound pierced the universe. Alakshita Antarikshe Padaya Achada Sabe Mane Bhave Kiba Churna Haila Hada. So he suddenly jumped in the air and fell forcibly into the ground. Everyone thought that his bones were smashed. Vishwambara Kole Matra Gela Nityananda. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu holding him in his lap. Then he pacified Nityananda Prabhu. Samarpiya Pranatana Haila Nishpanda. So he offered his life to the master of his life. Yara Pranatane Nityananda Samarpiya Achena Prabhura Kole Achestohaya. Because the Lord of his life is there, he became unconscious on the lap of his Lord. Bhashe Nityananda Chaitanyara Prema Jale Shakti Hata Lakshmana Ye Hayana Rama Kole. Like how when Lord Ramachandra saw the situation of Lakshmana when he was hit by that arrow, and how he was on the lap of Lord Ramachandra, Lakshmana. So same thing on the lap of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Nityananda Prabhu. Prema Bhakti Bane Murcha Kela Nityananda. There it was arrow of who is that person? Meghanatha. Here it is the arrow of love of Godhead. Nityananda Kole Kare Khande Gaurachandra. When he is on the leg of Nityananda Prabhu, like Lord Ramachandra was crying with Lakshmana, here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was crying with Nityananda Prabhu on his lap. Bahya Pailena Nityananda Katakshane. So he came back to consciousness. Haridvani Jayadvani Kare Sarvagane. So everybody started saying Haridvani, Jayadvani. Nityananda Kole Kare Ache Vishwambara Viprita Deki Mane Hase Gadadara. So seeing the situation, Gadadara started laughing. Ye Ananta Nirvadi Dhare Vishwambare Ajitara Garva Churna Kolera Bitare. Generally, Ananta will be holding on the Lord and he is very proud that I am holding on to the Lord. Today, his ahankara is put to pieces. Vishwambar bole, Shubha Divasha Amara, Dekilon Bhakti Yoga Chari Veda Sara. He said, today is very auspicious day. I saw the personification of love of Godhead, which is the essence of all the 4 Vedas. Prabhu bole, Amara Shakala Bhagyavan, Tumi Hena Bhaktera Haila Upasthana. Aji Kritakritya Haina, Manila Amara Dekile, Ye Tomara Ananda Varidhare. We are all fortunate to have a great devotee like you among us. We consider that our life have become successful, that we have seen you by our eyes, your love of tears of Godhead. Nityananda Gaurachandra Donhe Darshana, Ihara Shravane Hoya, Bandha Vimochana. So those who hear this pastime of Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will become free from these 3 modes of material nature, what this verse is saying today. So in this way, by hearing the pastimes and in the association of devotees, as initiated by the acharyas, one can become liberated from these 3 modes. This is the practical option, how Prabhupada has bestowed us with all these pastimes and the philosophy, what is required for us, and the process to practically implement by in the guidance of Vaishnavas and by taking the instructions from Prabhupada, how one can also become liberated from this 3 mode. Everything is there for us. It is now up to us to practice and become perfected. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts?
Greater than him means here is it told in a poetic way, Prabhu? Because there is
it's
always
in a poetic way, because Sakshad Hari, when you say to spiritual master, so he is representing the Lord as the personified form, so that we can associate with him, we can engage in his service. So like in quality and quantity. In quantity there will be difference. In quality we are all one, no? So that is what the point is mentioned. In quality they are one, in the purport it is said. In quality they are all representing the Lord. In quantity we will be in like infinitesimal, Lord will be Vibhu. As a representative of the Lord, he is one with the Lord.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu.
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की निताय गो.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700.